Assalamu alaikum guys. In this video we'll be discussing the same chapter coordination and control MCQs from question 12 to 22. So before we begin मैं आपको बता दूं I'm using the same topical past papers which I used in my previous video, and if you want to access them you can just DM us at inkscribe1 which is our Insta page and buy them. तो इससे पहले कि मैं स्टार्ट करूं आई वुड लाइक यू टू नो कि अगर आपने पूरी प्लेलिस्ट को एक्सेस करना है विच इज़ ऑन द कोऑर्डिनेशन एंड कंट्रोल चैप्टर जिसमें हमने सारे एमसीक्यू सॉल्व किए हैं यू विल हैव इट इन अ क्यूआर कोड फॉर्म. Just scan it and you'll be headed to the playlist where all the videos are available. So now let's begin with the chapter's MCQ. Question number 12. A person is sitting in a darkened room. After 5 seconds, a light is turned on. 5 seconds after that, the light is turned off again. Which graph shows the changes in the diameters of their pupils? Now you should remember that आपको दो situations mainly questions में नजर आएंगी. One would be about accommodation, which is when the lens shape changes, the ciliary muscles contracts or relax, or the suspensory ligaments contract or relax according to the change in the distance. और दूसरी सिचुएशन ये होती है कि आपको लाइट इंटेंसिटी के बारे में आता है विच इज़ द आइरिस रिफ्लेक्स कि वेदर योर प्यूपल हैज़ डायलेटेड और वेदर इट हैज़ कॉन्स्ट्रिक्टेड. आपने बस एक चीज़ याद रख लेनी है कि अंडर ब्राइट लाइट योर प्यूपल विल बी कॉन्स्ट्रिक्टेड, मतलब कि उसका डायमीटर श्रिंक हो जाएगा या रिड्यूस हो जाएगा. एंड इन डिम लाइट और इन डार्क आपका प्यूपल डायलेट हो जाता है. सो जस्ट रिमेंबर दिस फैक्ट और आप कोई भी क्वेश्चन फिर इससे रिलेटेड सॉल्व कर सकते हैं. नाउ इन द ग्राफ बहुत से बच्चे कंफ्यूज हो जाएंगे बट यू जस्ट हैव टू लुक एट द सिचुएशन और उसके अकॉर्डिंग आप अपने माइंड में साथ साथ सोचते जाए कि प्यूपल के डायमीटर को क्या होगा और आप पहुंच जाएंगे उस एग्जैक्ट ग्राफ पे. सो फर्स्ट आप देख सकते हैं कि फर्स्ट 5 सेकेंड्स तो सब कांस्टेंट है, वेदर इट इज़ ए बी सी और डी सारे ग्राफ्स कांस्टेंट है. तो इसको छोड़ के लेट्स कम टू द नेक्स्ट स्टेटमेंट विच सेज कि आफ्टर 5 सेकेंड्स द लाइट वॉज टर्न ऑन. मतलब इनिशियली कमरा डार्क था और फिर लाइट टर्न ऑन हो गई. सो व्हेन यू आर सिटिंग इन अ डार्क रूम योर पीपल डायलेट्स एंड व्हेन यू हैव टर्न द लाइट ऑन इट विल कॉन्स्ट्रिक्ट. तो आपने देखना है कि डायमीटर श्रिंक होगा बिकॉज फ्रॉम this diameter to this diameter you can see there is a difference and that is decreasing difference. तो आपने देखना है कि कौन से ग्राफ्स में आपको डिक्रीज शो हो रहा है. सो लेट मी जस्ट क्लियर दीज डिटेल्स. अब आप देख सकते हैं कि जो ग्राफ्स आपको डिक्रीज दिखा रहे हैं दे आर आइदर ए और सी, क्योंकि बी और डी में आप देख सकते हैं कि आफ्टर 5 सेकेंड्स दे हैव शोन अ इंक्रीज इन प्यूपल्स डायमीटर एंड दैट इज नॉट पॉसिबल क्योंकि लाइट टर्न ऑन हुई है एंड योर प्यूपल शुड कॉन्स्ट्रिक्ट. नाउ द नेक्स्ट स्टेटमेंट इज कि 5 सेकेंड्स के बाद दोबारा से लाइट टर्न ऑफ हो गई थी. दैट मीन्स जो आपके प्यूपल कॉन्स्ट्रिक्ट हो गया था उसका डायमीटर अब बढ़ जाएगा एंड इट वुड बी डायलेटेड. So an increase in diameter after 5 seconds is in graph A only. क्योंकि आप देख सकते हैं कि अब B और D तो हमारे पास रूल आउट हो गई थी ऑप्शंस, बट इन A और C अगर आप कंपेयर करें तो 10 से 15 सेकेंड्स के इंटरवल में जब लाइट दोबारा टर्न ऑफ की गई है यू कैन सी देयर इज अ कांस्टेंट लाइन एंड दैट कैन नॉट बी द आंसर क्योंकि प्यूपल की जो डायमीटर है दैट वुड इंक्रीज. सो A इज द करेक्ट ऑप्शन. Question number 13. Which parts of the skin are involved in the control of body temperature? So let's check each part individually and see whether they're involved in the control of body temperature or no. Let's start with temperature receptors. जो हमारी स्किन में टेम्परेचर रिसेप्टर्स होते हैं ना they are known as thermoreceptors and they're specialized nerve cells which detect change in the temperature. Once they detect that change in the temperature, these receptors send signals to the hypothalamus, which is in the brain, and that regulates your body temperature. It would start producing mechanisms such as more sweat production, less sweat production, या फिर blood vessels dilate करेंगी या constrict करेंगी in order to maintain homeostasis and normal body temperature. हमारी body temperature हमेशा 37 डिग्री सेल्सियस कैसे रहता है? It is only because these mechanisms are working properly and efficiently. So let's say अगर हमारा body temperature is very hot inside. So, what would happen is that the temperature receptors would detect that and they would send the signals to the brain. And in response to that, hypothalamus will trigger responses such as more sweat production. That will leave a cooling effect behind. जब sweat आपकी surface से evaporate होता है, that leaves a cooling effect behind. and your blood vessels will dilate. Dilate means they will expand so that more heat can be released outside, and that would prevent overheating. So our answer is A. All these three parts of the skin are involved in the control of body temperature together. Question number 14. A person looks at some hills far away. Which row shows the state of the lenses, ciliary muscles, and suspensory ligaments in her eyes? Now, by reading the statement, you have an idea this question is about accommodation and that too about a distant object. So, what happens if the person's eyes look far away? Firstly, you should know that your ciliary muscles relax. So, in the MCQ's options were there for contraction and relaxation, you had to choose the one with relaxation. These are your ciliary muscles. This is a closer version of what they're present over here. And your suspensory ligaments are pulled tight. That happens when the ciliary muscles relax, so the suspensory ligaments are pulled tight so that the lens has a pulled thin and flattened shape, which is necessary because that helps it to allow focus light from distant objects to directly hit onto the retina. So if we check the options now, thick lenses, that is not true. When we look far away, our lenses become thin and flattened. So A and B cannot be the options. Next, contracted ciliary muscles. No, the ciliary muscles relax when we look far away. That means D has to be the option because C has tick onto contracted ciliary muscles, which is a false statement. And the suspensory ligaments are under tension. Yes, that is true. Hence, D is the correct option.
Question number 15. What are characteristics of hormones? Let's recall the definition and check whether these characteristics belong to the definition of hormones or no. Hormones are chemical messengers that are produced by glands and they're released into the bloodstream. They travel through the blood to reach their specific target cells or organs where they would exert their effects. So you've seen that these all three characteristics belong to hormones. We can also further check that by taking an example of adrenaline hormone. जो हमारा adrenaline hormone है, that is produced by the adrenal gland and it targets the organs such as heart, blood vessels या liver and it is obviously released into bloodstream and it prepares the body for the fight or flight response and it can do that by multiple ways by increasing the heart rate by mobilizing energy. So these all factors together make hormone work efficiently on target organs. So these all characteristics are true, hence A is the right answer. Question number 16. The diagram shows some of the nerve pathways associated with the reflex action. If the pathway at X is damaged, how does this affect the reflex? So this is a reflex action because the stimulus was detected by the pain receptors, then by the sensory neurons, the impulse went to the brain. Brain से जो है by the renal neuron it went to the motor neuron and to the muscle. But here they said that this part, which is the conscious control part of the brain, is damaged. So how does this affect the reflex? Can it be option A? It means that if X is damaged, the person might still have the reflex, but they won't be aware that it is happening. So this is not true. Option B says the reflex cannot be controlled consciously. Yes, that is true, but let's have a look at other options too. C says the response will occur without any stimulus. This means that if X is damaged, the reflex would still occur without the stimuli. This is not possible. And D, there is no response to the stimulus. There would be a response, but that would not be controlled consciously. So B is the right option.
Question number 70. Which row shows what causes adrenaline or insulin to be released and the effect of this hormone on blood glucose concentration? So, adrenaline is released in the body during a flight or fight response, and insulin is released to lower down the blood glucose concentration level. So, first let's check the hormone and when it is released into the blood. So adrenaline is not released after meals, it is released after these states. For example, if you're feeling anxious, angry, you're happy, excitement. So these emotions trigger the release of adrenaline, not after meals. So option A cannot be the answer. If you check B, it is true and it also increases the blood glucose concentration. But let's have a look at other options as well. So C says that insulin is released after meals, which is true, but it does not increase the glucose concentration. It actually decreases it. So option A and C cannot be the options. D, let's have a look at that. Insulin is not released when fasting, it is always released after meals. So D was also not the right option, hence B has to be the option. Question number 18. A man suffers a head injury and his cerebellum is damaged. What is the result of this? In yesterday's video, also we discussed that cerebellum is responsible for posture, coordination, and balance in the body. So, if we just go directly to option D, that is going to be the best suitable answer because it would cause poor coordination of movements. A, B, and C are controlled by different parts of the brain. For example, lack of temperature control is if hypothalamus is damaged in the brain. So, the perfect choice was poor coordination of movements, which is also the function of cerebellum to maintain muscle coordination, balance, posture in the body. Question number 19. The diagram shows some of the structure seen in a section through human skin. What is the function of structure X? So let's label the diagrams and find out what is structure X. This is your sweat gland. This is your hair follicle. This is your blood vessel. And lastly, जो आपका X है, that is thermoreceptors. These are thermoreceptors. And their function is to detect changes in temperature. So the right option is B. Why not A, C, and D? A and D are due to the response generated once the impulses has been sent to the brain. तब जाके आपकी कैपिलरीज कंस्ट्रिक्ट करती हैं या डायलेट करते हैं या स्वेट ग्लैंड्स रिलीज करते हैं स्वेट अकॉर्डिंग टू द टेम्परेचर. And C cannot be because once the thermoreceptors detect the change through sensory neurons जो हैं impulses जाती हैं to the CNS. So it's not receive impulses, instead it should have been send impulses. तो फिर शायद ये option correct हो सकती थी if B was something else. Now let's move on to question number 20. Question number 20. The diagram shows a section through an eye. Which part is the receptor for the stimulus that results in the change of the size of the pupil? So receptors is what detects the stimulus. और receptors आपकी eye में कहाँ present होते हैं? They are present in the retina, which is the D part here. Retina has rods and cones which are special photoreceptors which detect the stimulus, for example, bright light है या dim light है. And according to that, the impulse is sent to the brain and the response is generated by making the pupils dilate or constrict. Moving on to question number 21. The diagram shows the brain in vertical section which structure coordinates the menstrual cycle. So in the brain, the hypothalamus and pituitary gland work together to regulate the menstrual cycle. If we check the labeling, ये है आपका cerebrum, this is the medulla, and this is the pituitary gland. So hence A will be the answer. What the hypothalamus does is that it releases a hormone called GnRH, which signals the pituitary gland to release FSH and LH, which would ultimately control the ovarian function and menstrual cycle. So A is the correct option because this is the labeling of pituitary gland.
Here's the last question of today's video, question number 22. Which of these is a reflex action? A. Increasing the blood glucose level by eating rice, this is not a reflex action. Remember, reflex action is simple and automatic response to stimuli that do not involve conscious thought processes. This is like a digestive process, it's not even a reflex action. When you eat rice, the body releases insulin to help regulate the blood glucose level, and this is not a rapid or involuntary response if you compare it to a reflex. So, this cannot be the answer. B. Lifting a book off the table by contracting your arm muscles. This is not a reflex action either. Why? Because when you lift a book, it involves voluntary contraction of muscles in response to a conscious decision. You're not doing this without thinking. आप सोच के एक किताब उठा रहे होते हैं टेबल से. Option C, preventing an insect from flying into your eye by blinking. Yes, this is true. Why? Because the blinking to protect your eye from a threat is an automatic and involuntary response controlled by the reflex arm. आप सोच के अपनी आंखों को blink नहीं कर रहे होते हैं. It just happens involuntarily. D. Using your brain to work out the answer to a problem. This is not a reflex action. This involves your cognitive processes, thinking, reasoning skills. So, it is not a reflex action either. So, C was the correct option. Here we reach the end of this video. Take care. Allah Hafiz.